Hello, welcome to all the mods 9 and relatively 10, as far as I know. So today we're covering Applied Energetics 2, and we are covering power. We're starting with power because we need power to do stuff, to do the power stuff, you know? So step 1, power, dye paste. Dielectric paste. That's what we need first. How do we get it? A little bit of clay, a little bit of coal, a little bit of lava. Step 1, get the paste. We need a good amount. One, maybe two stacks, maybe one and a half. Nothing crazy. Good amount. I made in my other world like 10 stacks. I would never use it. Please make two. So, step 2, capacitor. Iron, some redstone block, and the dielectric paste. For this whole procedure, dielectric paste will be used. So, like I said, please make at least a stack. And then we have the vertical and we have the horizontal. Of iron bars equals vertical uh, dielectric rod vertical. Dielectric rod horizontal. And then we have dielectric casing. So we need horizontal and vertical to make the casing. What does the casing look like? It looks like this. What does the dielectric rod look like? It looks like this. And the vertical looks like this. And the capacitors look like this. And dielectric base looks like this. So we need maybe a stack of these, probably. Good to have probably a stack. Maybe even half is good. But now that we have dielectric casing, this is like the centerpiece. We need bucket, dielectric casing right in the center, dielectric base, and basic capacitor tiny. And you're like, oh wait, we didn't cover tiny. But to turn the basic capacitor from big, or not big, but from basic capacitor to tiny, you just put it in the crafting table. That's it. Boom. Now that we have tiny, we're good. Put it. Oh wait, sorry, wrong one. Here, basic capacitor, dielectric casing, bucket. What does this make? This makes the magma eater. Hard to say, but makes this. What is this? This is our power supply. What does it do? It makes power. So this is also how I built it here. Yeah. And we're going to use this to make this. Iron at the top. This is where the basic capacitors come in hand. And this is where dielectric casing comes in hand. A little bit more iron. And then right here is the actual starter. So the starter makes the basic. So this is what it looks like. And the magnator basic. What does the magnator basic do over the starter? It just kind of generates a little bit more power. See how this says stored 80K and then max extract 480, 160, and these values 2K, a 20K, 240, 80. So this is better. And then this is kind of optional, relatively. If you want to have a decent setup, it's definitely not optional because, yeah, these are just cables. Dielectric rod, horizontal, horizontal. Basic capacitors equals energetic cable. And to show you being applied, this is not needed because of the fact that it's close to the magnator basic power supply. But this is just a power supply. You plop it down, throw some lava buckets in it. It creates FE power, generates stored 80K FE. That's a lot. Good amount. So we need examples of the energy cables. It plugs into devices. Um, the charger and the inscriber. These are actually part of applied energetics too. These are your basic building blocks, or these are your crafting tables, basically, of applied energetics too. They help you make stuff that you need to make stuff. This is a terminal. This is an energy acceptor. So, applied energetics has its own energy system. If you look at this guy, it says uh, K KAE. This guy says KAE, and this guy says FE or KFE. FE versus AE, and the AE stands for applied energetics. But you can use power cables and power magnator. It's acceptable to put it into the charger and the inscriber, but everything past here won't accept FE power from the magnator. And these are powered just because of proximity. And the cable, technically. If I move this from proximity from the magnator, i.e. move this charger like maybe here, and I had the cable here, it would still work. Which I could demonstrate technically. Nope, I just broke that. Okay. If I move it here, it's still connected. It just connects right there, and it works. And I'll explain why we need. Actually, I need Striber, and then I need the other thing. It's called. This is the menu. It shows you everything. Applied energetics is under storage, and you have the charger and the inscriber. I need a charger, and charger is very important. It's probably the most important. They're both equally important, but with the charger, so after you get power up and running, possibly energy cables, you make a charger. That's next step. And this is how you make it. Some copper and iron. And why do you need to make this? Because you want this. You want the meteorite compass. Why do you want the meteorite compass? Because it finds meteoroids. Next step, get yourself a compass. Not that hard. I mean, it's a compass, some redstone, and I think iron. And then boom, put it inside the charger. That gets you a meteoroid compass. What do you do with a meteoroid compass? You find meteoroids. Slash game mode, survival. Boom. And now, what is this? Skystone. Meteoroids going crazy. Now, if we go over here, right? Meteoroid plates here. But once it starts doing the circle, that just means you're above it or near it. Close proximity. So, open it here, open it there. Boom, boom, boom. So, for your first asteroid that you find, meteoroid, you probably want to acquire the Skystone as much as you can, just because of the fact that it's going to be used in the future. So apply as much as get as much as you can. So before we go talk about this more, I'll explain what this is here. So we have the inscriber and the charger. Charger gets us the compass. From the compass, we find a meteoroid. We harvest a meteoroid. From here, we go here. What are these? Well, if we do harvest the meteoroid, we acquire. Boom. Always knock that out because that's where the compass is actually looking for. Like that block was the thing that the meteorite's pointing towards. It's targeting that. So once we get that, now we have inscriber calculation press, silicone, logic, engineering. These are templates. And we should harvest this stuff as well. Harvest, harvest. Oop, probably shouldn't break the crystals. Don't break the crystals. So each of those are in different stages. Those crystals. If it's early, you end up getting the Certus Court dust. But if it's not early, you end up getting the Certus Court crystal. And if you don't use Soak Touch, the crystals, I believe, get damaged. Um, and the top tier ends up basically, it has to stay inside the meteoroid if you want to not damage it. But you can kind of get away with some stuff. But the reason why I brought this out is because if I put it here, and I put it here, and put some here, this stuff turns into more crystals. So if you do this, put it here, so there's crystal. That's how you get more crystals. Boom. Now all these, right? These will all start budding crystals. Why is that important? Because if you have a whole bunch of these, which is like literally the key element to this whole mod pack, and then Certus Quark dust. If you get the crystal before it goes through the whole process, I could show you. So this shows you the different stages: damaged, chipped, flawed, budding. Sorry, flawless. Flawless you could not keep unless you keep it in the asteroid. But basically, damage grows the small Certus Court bud very slowly, pretty slowly. Different stages: small, medium, large, flawless. Uh, sorry, Certus Quartz cluster. Once it says Certus Court cluster, you could harvest it, and you get the crystal. Any of these stages, you get the dust, which is fine. You need both. But you could only get this material from the asteroid itself. Same with this material. But it grows. It's going to take a little while, but it'll grow. You should kind of have it like not inside stuff, meaning available on all three sides. Four, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's already growing. Boom. And if I harvested this right now, it'd give me dust. This stuff. But if I let it grow, it gives me this. So just crystal. And we get the crystal from either the Certus Court block or through the charging station. No, actually, water. But if I did put it in the inscriber, which we made over here, boom, it will give me dust. So you can change the crystals into dust. But we want both. So after we made these two, our next goal should be making the energy acceptor so that we could plug in the ME crafting terminal with the Fluix ME class cable. This is like all you need, and then you also need storage bus. Storage bus, storage bus. These two crafting tables look different, and they are. This one's basic. But if you wanted to make this guy sophisticated storage, which it's the same thing, but look at the size difference. A lot more storage with this one. And this is sophisticated. How to make it? Oak. How you make a regular crafting table. Chest, I meant to say. And then you have redstone torch. And once you get that, you get this oak. That's a netherite. That's not supposed to be there. But oak, it's supposed to be oak chest. And then iron ingots produces an iron chest. And iron's decent. You can go all the way up to netherite, as you can see. And it's a tier list, so it goes oak, iron, I think gold, and then uh, diamond and then netherite, but it's kind of hard to get the netherite one. It's best to probably just go as high as with diamonds because they're kind of available. But anyway, once you have this set up, you want to get the energy acceptor. How do you get the energy acceptor? You need quartz glass and iron and copper. How do you get the quartz glass? So it is quartz dust. Okay, how do we get that? And this glass, it just doesn't matter what glass, it's just glass. How do you get that? From this. Asteroid. Harvest. Cool. Get more dust. So, let's make energy acceptor, iron, glass, copper. Boom. Now you have an energy acceptor. Why do you need an energy acceptor? Because Applied Energetics 2 does not like using other energy energy cables and other energy stuff. It'll accept it, but it doesn't want to use FE. It wants to use its own, which is fine. After that, we have the storage bus that we should make, and the Fluix ME glass cable. This guy is the complicated part. Making this guy complicated. Why? Because it's a lot of steps. You need a good amount of material. You need uh, a little bit of everything, to be honest. So to make this glass, we're going to use this materials. What do we do with this material? Which is nether quartz, charged quartz crystal, and redstone. And you put it in water, and it produces this stuff. What is this stuff? This stuff is fluid crystal. What do we do with it? Well, if you look here, fluid crystal on this tier list, or stage list, I guess, makes this. What do we do with this? We make the glass cable. Boom. Fluix crystal, and we need quartz. So we're back at it needing glass, and we're back at it needing the dust. So let's get that. So here we are. So glass on the top. Boom, boom, and the dust in the center. That gets the quartz fiber, plus the fluid crystal that we just made with the water ordeal gives us the Fluix ME glass cable. So bring it from the energy acceptor upwards and then towards the chest. Now, if we didn't have the ME storage bus, it would just hover like this. It looks silly. What does the storage bus do? It allows us to connect from here to there. So if we didn't have this, we wouldn't be able to connect. How do we make it? That's a little tricky, but nothing too crazy. Piston, sticky, and regular. And then ME interface, and you need formation core and annihilation core, iron, and some glass. Now, I click here, we see nether quartz, fluix dust, and logic processor. Now, I mentioned earlier, when we harvest this guy, we get inscriber engineer press, logic press, silicon press, calculation press, and there should be logic. Yeah, logic. Logic. So that's what we need. Because this is a logic processor, right here, calculation processor, and engineer code. So basically, when we harvest over here, the mysterious cube, it gives us these templates. We put the template in here, which is the inscriber, and we use, I believe, might be, give me 1 second. Gold. We need gold. Each one uses different materials. So this just creates the blueprint. This doesn't actually create everything. Printed logic circuit. So we'll get two of these, and I'm just gonna make another inscriber. Honestly, it's not a bad idea to make a couple of these because they're kind of annoying to have everything on one. So once you have the printed logic circuit, you have this guy, right? And you're gonna want to, before we do that, sorry, let's do the silicone template. So silicone press, right? Boom. And how do we get silicone? Nether quartz, right here. If we have a furnace, we put this in here. Nether quartz there. Cool. Now, after this cooks, we will get silicone from nether quartz. Boom, silicone. What do we do with silicone? We put it inside the inscriber with the silicone press. Let's get a couple. I should probably use better furnace for this, but whatever. Printed silicone. What does printed silicone do for us? Well, if we move all this stuff out, printed logic circuit plus printed silicone. So we just made these guys. And then we use redstone. What does this make? This makes logic circuit. Logic circuit. Processor. Logic processor. Boom. So we just did this. You can do reaction chamber. It makes more, but to make the whole thing is kind of costly. So we're using the inscriber. Now that we have that, now we can make each of these guys. So nether quartz, fluix dust, logic processor. And then you have the other guy who's the formation, charged or regular, surface quartz, fluix dust, and logic processor. So if you have two of those, plus some glass, plus some iron, you make the ME interface. What do you do with the ME interface? Which is, you need this for a couple things. So it's good to make like maybe a couple of these, like 3 of these. What do you do with those? Well, put it here, boom. Now you have a storage bus. And the storage bus is just the connector. So once you place it, boom, connects. And what does it do? It allows your storage system to connect. Boom. Inside here are these. What's in here? These. Now, you can use an ME drive, which is this. Um, and then you make hard drives, but I personally am not a fan of these so much because of the fact that the um, storage capacity is like 64 of each, 63 different types of items. So you can only hold 63 different items. So, I mean, if you're going to go this route, you'd want to make like 1 million storage component. And this is where you'd actually need the Sky Stone. But it'd almost be better to make like a bunch of 64K storage components and fill up each rack of the ME drives, like each slot. But you could just do iron chest or netherite chest or diamond chest of this system, and you pretty much save on resources relatively, and it's arguably easier to be honest and better. I mean, I prefer this over having the MU drive set up. I tried doing the MU drive setup. Time invested was excessive and unreasonable. Um, and I was late game, so I had plenty of the resources, but it just still was not the best. It really was not the best. So iron chest, etc. But once you actually make the ME interface and you make the source bus, the reason why I said make a couple of them is this ME crafting terminal. You can make an ME terminal, but why would you do that when you could have a crafting terminal? Which is crafting table and then a calculation processor. How do you make a calculation processor? Inside the inscriber, printed calculation circuit, printed silicone. We just showed you how to make silicone. It is silicone press plus this. Boom. And then we have printed calculation. This is where you need the surface core crystal. So if these are grown, which there might be one, you just harvest it, boom, put it inside the inscriber. Here it is. Where is it? There we go. And this guy. And this is going to make the template. Printed calculation. So now that we have the template, we can do printed furnace, and then we're going to do, I think it's, let's see, I get confused myself. Silicon and redstone, right? Yep, redstone. So, redstone, sorry. Where's the silicon? Silicon, where are you? Probably don't have enough. Yeah, there we go. Silicone, let's put this here, and let's make more. Printed silicone, there we are. Printed calculation, and some silicone. Where is it? Right here. Redstone. Boom. This is going to create the calculation processor. With the calculation processor, we are calculation processor. We are able to make this guy. But this is where you need the formation core, and this is where you need the logic, and this guy's not that hard to make. Some glowstone, iron, quartz glass, redstone. Which over here, quartz glass. So everything basically boils down to find an asteroid, get this stuff. This is good stuff. Let it grow inside your house or near your house, or build your house near the asteroid. That's probably the best bet. And get some power going, you know. And then you get the charging station going. The quartz glass, we get some of that. energy acceptor. We need that. Without the energy acceptor, none of this works. So if this block, I destroy this block, even if it's in close proximity to magnator, everything's actually going to turn off because there's no more lava. RIP. uh, but if even if everything's close to this, only these guys work. Only these guys work and accept the magnator. Everything past this, the ME terminal, the flux glass cable, and the storage bus, and the chest connected to it, don't accept FE. It only accepts AE. So you have to make the applied energetic too. Energy acceptor. And then this stuff. Hope that kind of helps. Trying to make this tutorial as best as I can, but it's very complicated. It's very, very complicated. Um, yeah. So hopefully all this helps.